This is a place.
This is the place.
This is a place. We want to talk about. This is a place.
Thank you for listening to This is a Place podcast. My name is Brandon, and I'm joined by a man who is still trying to, one, get me to play pickleball, and two, turn this into an all-out pickleball podcast. Nate, what gives, man? What's so special about pickleball?
It's just too much fun. It's too much fun. It's addicting. That's the problem, is that pickleball has ruined people's lives because they get so addicted to it. I'm not kidding either. There's been a few people
ruined marriages.
Yeah, it's ruined. Like, people have posted that they're not playing pickleball anymore because they need to focus on their family life. So you got to be careful.
It's a gateway.
It's a drug. So, like everything else, in moderation, right? Yeah, we got to get you involved. And even thinking a couple of the guys I've been playing basketball with, I'm just like, doggone it, why not?
It probably is one of those things where if I get into it, it's going to be, I wouldn't say it would be a problem, but it would be something that I'd shift focus and want to do more of it. And maybe that's why I'm hesitant to do it, just because I ain't got no time for that.
But, well, you're an early bird. Like, that's the good thing about pickleball is you can play either early in the morning, play in the afternoon, or late at night. So it works around your schedule. Compared to like basketball really is, when you're playing as an adult, it's nighttime, right? It's rare. Well, either early morning or if you get, but the problem is when you do early morning, nobody shows up. And that's the worst. That was the worst.
That was
when
bad.
we'd go get up early in the morning and two of us would show up. And then we had like three of us showing up sometimes, and then we did that full court tip in 21.
But that
was a lot of fun.
I kind of miss that, to be honest.
Well, for listeners, it wasn't a full court basketball court. It was one of those smaller church gyms. So where the 3-point is really the 3-point on both sides of the court.
But it makes it so you can still get good exercise, and it was fun.
Yeah, we got good exercise. But that's the great thing about pickleball is you only need, well, technically you only need one other person if you want to play singles, but you need 3 other people to play, and you can play for hours. So you can't play 2-on-2 basketball for hours. You'll die. I'll die. So yeah, there's my sermon on why you need to start playing pickleball. You don't have to give up basketball. You don't have to give up the other sports. You just need to add it.
Just add it in.
All
this extra time. Yeah.
All this extra time. Well, you can go to the gym or you can play pickleball.
I joke about it, Nate, but I'm sure pickleball is great, and I'm not doubting it. I just haven't got around to it. One of these days I will do it. But we do have I'd say kind of a bonus episode today, and this is coming at you guys probably out of the normal schedule of our episodes. Usually they come out on Wednesday. Sometimes in the last couple weeks they've come out on Thursday. Not gonna lie, I've been a little slow at times to edit, maybe. So yeah, this one we had an opportunity to speak with someone about some cool events happening, and wanted to get this out in time so people could hear about the events, and
so they can plan their schedules accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we're getting this out, and you can still expect one of our normal, what would you call it, rotation of episodes still coming at you Wednesday or Thursday morning or whenever I decide to get around to it. But we did have an interview began with one person and added a second person in for a little bit. So kind of cool to hear from 2 different people about the Wheelin Jazz and about, as mentioned just previously, a little bit about pickleball.
So we're joined today by the artist formerly known as Randy Baby and known in the social media world as #Randall the Producer. How's it going?
Nate, what's up?
Just living the dream.
Your dream or my dream or the man's dream?
I just said a dream. It could be good. It could be nightmare. It could be whatever it is. It's just a dream. So
some kind of dream.
There you go. Well, before we dive in, do you want to give us a quick introduction to who you are for those who don't know who you are?
Yeah, Randy Baby, well known in the Salt Lake area as the pickleball nemesis of many and the conqueror of all. I'm definitely in the best of the intermediate best category there. And Nate, you've experienced that on the pickleball courts.
Yeah, you're one of the fun left-handed players to play with, right?
Yes. There, I was on the court the other day. There was three lefties and one righty. It was kind of a special experience.
I did that the
Anyways,
other
so
day
I've
as
done
well.
TV. You did?
Yeah, and then I
Yeah.
had a little tournament the other day where I played against two left-handed people, and it's a different look when you play when both are left-handed. So
How'd that go
it's
for you?
yeah, there's a lot of
Did,
lefties coming out of the woodwork.
did your patterns get messed up? Is it because I know
It's
a lot
hard,
of people.
yeah. Well, just your natural shot selection gets changed up, and you have to think about it more. So,
Right.
um, but I love playing
But,
with a lefty.
well, you and Ben Johns have that in common then.
Yeah, they
On
do.
one of his podcasts, when he was doing that, I think it was with Rob Nunnery. He was talking about his preferred matchup would be with a high level lefty. And then instead of having his partner all the way on the side, just playing that backhand, right?
Right,
That because you know that fade strategy that they do where especially with Ben Johns, he takes up 75-80% of the court. And so his partner is over on that right side. And they call it the fade strategy. So he's just kind of anything over their forehand or right shoulder, they're just letting go out. And so they fade to the right and then are hitting the backhand of whatever 10 or 15% that Ben can't always cover. So he said that his favorite partner would be, and this is probably gonna be played with the Seattle Pioneers and the MLP, is a high level lefty. So Tyler Loom there can be quite a force.
might be a wanted man.
And you wonder if Ben's able to seed part of the court as well too, because the lefty, if you're coming across that middle, sometimes that person on the right side, if you're a lefty, that's their forehand side, and so you can almost have like an amoeba coming back and forth from left to right across the court. Of course, Ben probably doesn't need that help very much,
Right.
but just a thought there. Yeah, so lefties are coming out of woodwork.
There you go. Brandon, is this all making sense to you?
Yeah, I have nothing to say.
I've
I've
been
played
trying for
Has
pickleball.
years.
Brandon not stepped on the courts yet?
I
I've
have
been
stepped on
trying.
once with some a youth group. We played some pickleball, so we were just guessing, and you guys are just speaking a foreign language to me right now.
Well, Brandon and I really got to know each other playing basketball before
Okay.
pickleball took over my life, and it sounds like that's something you were really interested in as well, right?
Oh yeah, basketball. Yeah, basketball is what I consider the beautiful game. There's another sport they try to say is the beautiful game, but for me, it's basketball. And now it's pickleball.
Now it's
And
pickleball. Yeah.
but
Do you
yeah,
still play basketball, or are you fully into pickleball now?
do I still play it? Once in a while. I was fortunate enough to break into a high level group down in LA, of former NBA players. And not that I was at their level, but I was able to hang a little bit. We can get into that later if you want to. But since pickleball, I haven't really gone back to basketball.
Oh, really?
I haven't gone back to tennis, and pickleball may be the greatest sport ever invented, bar none. And
There you
that's
go,
we
Brandon.
that.
How
What's
many more
that?
testaments do you need, Brandon, before you hop in?
And
Yeah.
that's on a recreational level, and now changing to a professional level, and even a league level. But we can get into all that later if we want to.
Well, I'm
Well,
curious because I know some of the stuff you sent over or JDQ Productions
Mhm.
is yours, your brand,
Yeah.
and we watched a video, Nate and I, about how you kind of started it, and a lot of it you were talking about basketball and how you played a little bit in high school. If it's okay with you, I'd love to hear more about your basketball experience and how that kind of got you into the JDQ Productions.
Yeah, so grew up playing basketball, like a lot of kids. Played in the youth leagues and that sort of thing. Uh, Parents split when I was young, so I was raised by my mom, and then she had a friend that helped raise me as well too. So I was raised by two women basically. So sports where I found a lot of my male role models, actually. Sports, scouting, that sort of thing. And so basketball was a big part of that. Obviously, growing up in the Magic, Michael, Bird era, those guys shaped my basketball dreams. And of course, with my broadcasting background, journalism, you guys know the name Dick Vitale?
Of course.
I can remember, watching him and it's like, man, how do I get to do that? How do I get paid to like watch and talk about basketball in this? And of course I want to play, and there's all these changes in the landscape of sports in the air. Not only from what it means to be a professional, but what it means to cover the sport. I mean, ESPN was relatively new, late 80s. And so that kind of shaped what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. So, I'm 6'5". Some people say 6'5 1/4", but I don't like to quibble about quarter inch here or there. As tall, as lanky. I played football as a lefty. Obviously I would look to lefty quarterbacks. Is there any famous lefty quarterbacks you can think of?
Yeah, Steve Young, and then there's been a couple.
Yeah, so Steve Young, I would watch him run around, and actually I was going out for a quarterback, and I actually got bit by a dog on my left hand right during summer tryouts. So that was a wasted summer. But then went out, made the basketball team, and from there tried out for junior college, got cut. But then I became the sports reporter for the paper. And I remember towards the end of one year, the team had just lost their last game, and they were probably a 500 team at best. And that was the year I'd gotten cut. And so it was kind of awkward, interesting for me to now be the reporter that was asking the coach all the strategy questions about the team after every game. And so I said, "Hey, coach, it looks like your bench let you down a little bit at the end of that game." And it's like, "Yeah, I should have kept you on the team." And then he's like, "Well, you don't have that thing recording, do you?" Because I have a microphone right there. And so I just kind of said, "No, coach." So I tried to change the subject as quickly as I could, but that was as far as I was ever going to go. Even if I was going to go that far, it would be junior college level.
In your broadcasting, did you ever have a boom goes the dynamite moment?
Boom goes the dynamite. Not on air. I had a lot of those types of moments with the anchors and the other producers. And it's things can get a little bit blue in the sports room. So the sports cave. But there's a lot of different whether it's an improv moment, whether it's trying to come up with the line or the catchphrase of the night.
Well, LeBron James just recently broke the scoring record and has argued that he's the best player ever, but many would argue that the best player ever is Michael Jordan. And my understanding is that you got pretty close to Michael Jordan at one point.
Yes, I did. Actually, early in my broadcasting career, so he had come out of retirement. And it was, everybody at the station was jockeying for the ability to go and interview him. So they would do pregame interviews and shoot around and stuff. And then of course postgame as well too, obviously. So I was actually able to, and that's an interesting story. I'm going to right now, maybe we'll, how I got the nod to get into what they call the media scrum. So you'll see, and this is in my one of the at JDQ Randall. That's the YouTube if you want to look it up, at JDQ Randall. This video that shows it's a media scrum. So all the media kind of attacks whatever player is hot at the moment, or is a notable type of player, and so they kind of all converge upon the player. And so it was Michael in this case, and I knew probably 24 hours ahead of time that I was going to be in that media scrum. And I'd been in some other media events type of thing, usually post game, and usually it's a lot of awkward first date talk amongst the reporters, like while we're waiting for the athlete to come out. And then it's also like kind of a little bit of awkward interview style a little bit, because somebody will ask a question and they'll make a joke, they'll laugh at their own joke, and then they'll want the athlete to kind of finish the question, or they'll just make a statement and leave it hanging, and then the athlete kind of has to pick that up, right? So I didn't want that to happen, and I wanted to not take control, but at least have an impact on how this interview was going to go. So I had a couple of questions. I threw it out to some friends of mine. Hey, what would you ask, MJ, and all this sort of thing. And so I had a couple of questions, formulated my own. And then if you watch in that video, you can see me. I make a beeline right for MJ. Gave him his space, of course. Didn't want to, roll right up on top of him. But then I start immediately with a question, and before any of the other reporters can really do that. And so, yeah, I got to talk to him, and it was early in my career, and that was just, amazing. And I look back on it now and just think about it from time to time. I don't spend too much time on it, but yeah, from time to time, it's a nice little memento.
Yeah, you got closer than most people have to. Well, you got to talk to Michael Jordan, so that's pretty cool.
And he answered. He replied.
Yeah, and you tell in the video he's looking right at you too. So it's like he made eye contact with him. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was trying to see if he was really 6'6". Some of these NBA players, they're not really the size that they're listed on their
right
sheet type of thing.
Yeah, they do that starting in high school, right? Where they make it look like you're bigger than you really are. But
yeah.
A really cool project that you were involved in years ago had to do with, I don't know if many people know, but the Utah Jazz have a wheelchair team. Is that correct?
The Utah Jazz have a secret team. It's not the one you see out on the court every day or every other day during the winter.
So tell us about your involvement in that.
Yeah, it's not the E team either. Are you guys familiar with the Utah Jazz E team?
Yes, my son is on his school's E team.
Oh, okay.
So,
I don't know too much about that, but yeah. So in 2004, next year will be 20 years, I guess, since I found out about this team. I was shocked and blown away that the Utah Jazz had a quote unquote wheelchair team. Anyways, there's a big long history in that, and how they're tied into the Jazz and all that sort of thing. But I figured, gosh, for somebody who grew up playing basketball in Phoenix, in Salt Lake, a little bit in LA, for somebody who worked in the media, in news and in sports specifically, and interacted with collegiate players, NBA players, if anybody should have known about these guys, it should have been me. So when I found out about it, it's kind of like, you have that sweater that has a little loose string, and you start pulling at it and pulling at it, and then before you know, you have no sweater left. Hopefully you're wearing an undershirt or something. It was that type of thing, where just the more I found out about it, the more questions I had, and the more questions I had, the more I wanted to find out. And that led me to the front office of the Utah Jazz. That led me to Frank Layden's doorstep. You guys both know who Frank Layden is?
Of course. Well, I do. I'm old enough to know who he is.
I know who he is. I know of him. I actually when I played junior jazz, I got a bobblehead of him.
You did?
Yeah.
Do you still have it? Could
be in my parents' house somewhere.
All right, let's have our next podcast be out of your parents' attic or basement. And let's
finding the bobblehead. Okay,
the bobblehead.
But that would be that would be such an interesting. We'll video that, and we'll put that. That'll be your first YouTube video. Us just going through all of your junk from when you were a kid.
There you go.
Find the Frank Layden bobblehead.
I got a Kobe Bryant one too. So we'll
need to and you know where that one is, I'm sure, right?
I know where it is. It's probably not in the safest spot, but I do know where it is.
Come on, shame on you. You need to know where the Frank Layden one is. So Frank Layden landed on his doorstep, and at first he's like, "Oh, I already donate. I already do." I'm like, "Coach, I don't want your money." I'm like, "You don't? I'm like, what do you want?" And so I just told him about this wheelchair team. Told him how I was trying to create broadcast quality content of them and tell their stories and broadcast their games and all this sort of stuff. And so he helped me out. He would, meet with me from time to time. He'd call me back. He wasn't under any obligation to talk to me like MJ was. And he makes, he's one of these guys, you hear about these guys that make you feel like you're the only person in the room, or as soon as you meet them, like you've known them your whole life. That's one of these guys. Quick with a joke, he'll light up your smoke, but he's always Coach Layden to me. Name that song.
Piano Man.
Yes. So as I got to know more about the Wheelin team, there's one guy that was a prominent figure there. His name's David Perry, and he was, oh gosh, he's a teenager, high schoolish, and it just broke my heart because I started getting to know him a little bit, and he's just like, there's no wheelchair camps or wheelchair clinics, here in Salt Lake, and so he just talked about not having these opportunities to participate and to compete, and it's not just it's not a participation sport. It's a competition. A lot of times, I don't know. Well, let me ask you, where does wheelchair sports fit in the category of sports in your guys' mind? How familiar or aware or not aware are you of it?
I'm aware of it. I've seen a few news stories on it. I was not aware that you had made a film about them. And I have yet to see. I've seen like clips from it, but I haven't seen the whole film. But yeah, it's just like you said, it's a sport that's not really well known. And wasn't there another movie called like Murder Ball or something like that?
Murder Ball, yep,
That
exactly.
talked about the league. So looks pretty intense.
And it's completely new to me. I know it exists, but I didn't know about this team or really any details prior.
Yeah. And yeah, it's not surprising. I mean, it doesn't get any coverage in mainstream media too much. I mean, here and there, it'll be a news story. So anyway, so I met this kid, David Perry, and he talked to me about how when he did go to a camp back east, he still felt out of place. Why is that, David? Well, because he didn't have any stories or tall tales he could swap with these guys about other wheelchair camps or wheelchair basketball games. And so, I set out on a mission to give him stories that he could talk about in any setting, not just at a basketball camp, but in any setting. And so that included, basketball related stories, introducing him to pros, introducing him to broadcasters. I got him some media attention a little bit. His favorite player was, Utah's favorite player, John Stockton. One of their other players, it was his teammate, Jeff Griffin. And he was actually headed to Greece for the Paralympics. Are you guys familiar with the Paralympics at all?
Yep. I got a friend who did snowboarding in, was it Japan a few years ago? So
really,
yeah.
So yeah, that's usually 2 weeks after each summer or winter Olympics, and so they redo the signage and everything, and then have a whole nother 2 weeks of games. And so this local guy here, Jeff Griffin, he was heading over through the Paralympics as part of the USA basketball wheelchair team. Well, who knew? So then became not only a mission to tell the Utah Wheelin Jazz story, the David Perry story, then the Jeff Griffin story comes up, and so I got him some sponsorship deals, just some in kind, some small ones, some local ones. Got him an international phone, websites, his own website before websites were a thing where everybody had their own. And then I was trying to scramble a documentary crew to follow him over there. That didn't happen. I just started looking at myself. I'm like, well, you have the skills, you could do it. I'm like, then there's this little conversation that goes back and forth. Like, what do you mean do it? That means I'm gonna have to buy a ticket and go over there, and then I'm not gonna have any, production support. I'm not gonna have a cameraman. I'm not gonna have a producer. I'm not gonna have this, that, or the other, right? So you start thinking though of things. My dad would always say, ask the question, what if, right? It's like a couple days out, and then it's just like, well, Jeff, guess what? I'm going to Greece. He's like, what? So yeah, I went and bought a camera at the electronics store, and that's anyways. that's the stuff. I can go on and on, but that's how I got started in wheelchair sports. Specifically basketball is my passion project. And that was 2004. And that was the year that the able-bodied dream, well, not the dream team, the able-bodied USA basketball team lost. They lost famously to Puerto Rico. That was the LeBron-led team with Carmelo and AI and all those guys. And that's coming up on the 20-year anniversary. So we got a lot of stuff coming up next year.
They talk a good deal about this Jeff Griffin fellow, and I see that he has actually hopped onto our Zoom call. So
Has
I'd
he?
like to
What?
welcome
Jeff?
him in here, and thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, you betcha. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Jeff?
Doing well, doing really well. I appreciate this opportunity. Brandon and Nathan, how are you guys doing?
Doing well, thanks. It's cool to hear your story, and we have some exposure and know that there's the wheelchair basketball out there, but learning about the team and then hearing your experience, it's really cool and inspiring to hear what you guys are able to do.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to be able to take some high level athletes and put them in wheelchairs and let them experience what it's like to pass, push, defend, shoot, all with your arms, and not be able to bend your knees to get a little extra. Whenever your shot comes up short, everyone says bend your knees. Well, our knees are already bent, and so there's no correction there, and so. But it's a fantastic sport, and flint flies, and you can smell the wheels being burnt in the air as you come and watch.
What about sparks? Because those chairs run into each other. Have you ever seen a spark?
Yep, I've seen the sparks. You smell the flint. You see, it's an experience. It's all senses being hit at the same time. So you guys are pickleballers, is it picklers? Is that the term?
Picklers, yeah.
Picklers, absolutely. So every sport has its challenges, and that's what I love about life is just being challenged, and being able to see what you're made out of, to see how strong you are, and really get out there and be pushed.
So how long you been involved with the organization?
I got hurt in 1995. Looked them up in 96. And have been playing ever since. And so it's kind of a long journey. I'm hitting my 50th birthday this year. I'm not quite there yet, but everyone's like, well, why don't you hang it up? I'm willing to hang it up once somebody replaces my 24 points that I average a game.
There you go.
Nice.
And did you guys know there used to be a Wheelin All-Star game as well?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Nope.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back in
We're trying to, yeah.
coming weeks here,
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. I went down and filmed one of them in LA with Jeff. He won the MVP. And how many All-Star MVPs do you have, Jeff?
I participated in 8 of the All-Star events. I have 4. I almost went 3 years in a row, and coach took me out right before I got my last basket to make it 3 years in a row, and that would have been 5 out of the 8. But I'll take 4, and every time I've showed up, we've won. So I'm good with that record.
50 is still young. I mean, you've got another 20 plus years.
Well, you know what? I don't know. I think wheelchair years are kind of like dog years. For every one wheelchair year, it's like 5 able-bodied years. I don't know what it is, but all I know is I feel like I'm just hitting my prime, and that's not true. But I do feel great. I feel great. I feel healthy. There was a point in my life and career that I couldn't even open up the door. My shoulders were shot so bad, and thinking about and suggesting retirement, and then the fountains of youth kicked back in, and now I'm feeling really good. I'm starting to figure out my health, and our coach calls me the Tom Brady of wheelchair basketball, but Tom Brady just retired, so I don't know if that's a good comparison.
So you're gonna pass him. He's gonna be compared to you, and that he should have sticked around longer.
Yeah, other than I don't have 7 championships or Super Bowls. So yeah, no, it's great though. But anyway, I just love the ability to get out there and entertain and inspire and to motivate other people to get out there and just be active. And so anyway, I love the fact that pickleball is starting to pick up and people are getting out there, and I love what Randall is doing in sharing and showcasing. He's sharing and showcasing wheelchair basketball for 20 years unseen, and now he's sharing and showcasing pickleball. And hopefully people will understand the selfless sacrifice that he has put in and is doing, and support what he's doing.
Hey Jeff, did you hear about wheelchair football yet?
Oh, I've heard about wheelchair football. They've tried to convince me to play it, but I am not going to play football on the asphalt.
Jeff was a football player, and so he might still be if he transitions over from he can be a 2-sport guy, Jeff.
I could be. You know what though? After you experience collegiate football, you're like, I don't know. No, thanks. I'm good. I've got a good memory of what it was. I am enjoying wheelchair basketball. I'm enjoying being able to open up the door right now with my arms without pushing that button. So there's no reason for me to jump into wheelchair football. I may go watch it and cheer on my teammates, but no, thank you. I'm playing it.
Yeah. But he's also a high-level tennis player.
Another time, we'd love to have you on and just chat with you about what you're doing. Sounds like you're doing a lot of cool things.
Yeah, it's been enjoyable. I like to say that are you barely breathing and call it a life, or are you living a life that causes you to catch your breath? So get out there and live life to the fullest.
Well, that was a fun surprise visit. Too bad we ran out of time with him. So outside of the Wheelin Jazz and the wheelchair, you're obviously involved in a lot of other things. What other things what other projects do you have your hands?
Well, hey, we have to talk about, thank you. Yeah, we have to talk about All-Star Weekend coming up here. Did you guys remember a famous NBA show called Dazzling Dunks and Basketball Bloopers?
That was like on Saturday mornings, right?
Well, I first found out about it through a Sports Illustrated subscription. It was a free gift they would give you with a subscription.
Oh, back when people got magazine subscriptions.
Yeah, exactly. And so anyways, I am doing an event during All-Star Weekend. It'll be coming up shortly here. We're going to be, and we talked a little bit about Frank Layden earlier. He was the co-star of this show. And so this All-Star Weekend, we're going to have a 3-day fundraiser for the Wheelin Jazz and adaptive sports in general. It's going to be called Dazzling Dinks and Wheelin Basketball Hoopers.
Fun. Where are you doing this at?
We're going to be doing this at a couple different locations. One is Club Pickleball USA, the Sandy location. That's in Salt Lake City for anybody listening to this, about 10 or 12 minutes south of the All-Star Arena from downtown Salt Lake. And we're going to kick off Thursday with the All-Star Pickle Clinic with legendary pickleball pro Scott Moore. He's one of the winningest pickleball players out there. And we have partnered with Paddle Tech. For all you pickleballers out there, know Paddle Tech is one of the top 3, I would say, paddle companies out there. We're going to have a free paddle that's included with the pickleball clinic. And then Friday and Saturday night, we're going to have Pickleball After Dark, All-Star Edition. High-level round robins. We might also have an introductory round robin, be competitive, whether it's high level or not. I think pickleball is always competitive, and we're going to do that. And then at a different location, we're going to have actually the Wheelin Jazz compete against one or more former NBA players in a shootout competition. So
fun.
first round, the NBA player will shoot standing up against the wheelchair guys. And then the second round, they're going to have to sit in a chair and shoot. And we're going to take note of who shoots better and who ends up winning with the final tally.
Where's that taking place?
That'll be Saturday morning. It's just right down the street from Club Pickleball, actually. And it's Copperview Community Center.
Yeah. Yeah, my boys have done a few leagues over there. It's a nice little community center.
Yeah, so at this Copperview Community Center, they have a lot of adaptive programming out there.
Yep.
Lacrosse they've got, and then Nate, this would be right up your alley. I was looking into this this last week or two. Sled or sledge hockey. Have you heard of this, Nate?
Yeah. Isn't that kind of like where they move around on little sled looking things?
Yeah, so it's the you can't have wheelchairs on ice. Yes, you could, but they have sleds on ice.
Yeah, it's insane. And the talent those guys have is like insane. Like those Olympic guys, at least. Yeah.
And then they're also going to be putting together a wheelchair pickleball programming down there at Copperview.
Oh, cool.
So I'm working with conversations to help out with that a little bit. So I'll let you know as that develops. And in the adaptive sports world, especially in tennis, there's something called up down.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know the Special Olympics does some stuff like that with the adaptive, where they'll have about half the kids without a disability play with kids with disabilities, so that they can. Yeah. It's kind of cool what they do. I need to get my boys more involved in that stuff.
To see these guys compete, it's like I said, it's not. There's no participation trophies here, and it's great they get to participate and they have something to do and all this sort of feel good type of things that give you the warm fuzzies. But these guys are out here competing, and to see these guys compete for the pure love of the game, right? And I'm not saying that professional players don't have a love of the game, but it's different, right? I don't know how much hockey you played or what your level of basketball was, but I mean, pickleball opens up that window of competition again. And football players go through this where they after football, like there's nothing, you're not getting 22 guys together to go play tackle football.
Well, you're not playing tackle football probably ever again. I mean, that's the crappy thing about tackle football, is that after if you made college, whatever's, that last game could be the last time you ever play it, because you just don't have opportunities to go strap on a helmet. And I mean, you can play flag football or touch football, or whatever, but it could be the last time you've got to strap on the pads and play. So, and he said about turning 50, and I'm a sports addict. I just love sports. I'm average at all the sports. I'm not like amazing at any of them, but I just love sports. I like hanging out with people. But I've noticed over, once you turn 30, that's a kind of a hump in the road that gets harder to play sports. 40 was another one. So like, I felt like my sports career was kind of dwindling down as being able to compete with the guys I'm playing with, or wanting to play all the time, or getting invited to play is probably the biggest thing. And then pickleball comes along. You're like, oh my goodness, like you don't have to be, 20 years old to play the sport. I mean, there's guys, there's seniors playing this game that can whip my butt. So it's just nice to get that competitive feeling back, feeling like, oh, I can compete, and not feel like age is really a factor.
Brandon, at Pickleball After Dark on Friday and Saturday night, there's going to be free lessons. Nate, I'm going to take this opportunity to invite you to come be one of my coaches for an hour or two.
There you go.
Friday or Saturday night.
You want to learn how to do it wrong? I can help you with that.
And so we're going to have, you sign up, you have a half-hour lesson, then a half-hour open play, and we'll get you, let you dip your toe in the pickleball waters during All-Star weekend. And again, it's a 3-day All-Star Hoop Fest and pickleball fundraiser. highlighting the wheeling jazz and other adaptive sports. And you can go to justdon'tquit.org for more information.
I was just going to say, how do they find out about it? So justdon'tquit.org to find out about the tournament.
Justdon'tquit.org. Yep. And right now our website's being hosted by the Pickleball website, which is thisweekinpickleball.com. And so you'll see some pickleball stuff on there as well. And justdon'tquit.org, though, you can go and find out more information. You can follow the social media channels through the pickleball site there. They're kind of hosting as the justdon'tquit.org people get their stuff together and get built out. They're just kind of a grassroots organization right now.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on to talk to us about your history with your production company and the Wheelin Utah Jazz, and cool to hear about these events coming up. So we definitely encourage people to check them out. And
yeah, you know, I mean, I love sports, obviously. I love basketball. I love pickleball. So this is just a celebration of putting all these things together. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention kind of the biggest keystone of all of this is the Frank Layden narration of the film that I did.
oh,
And
very
we're
nice.
actually making it available. So we're going to pull the narration they did out of the film and make it available as an audiobook download for people. First, it'll be for participants of All-Star Weekend. And then hopefully down the road, hopefully sooner than later, I'd like it being ambitious to be summer, but definitely by the fall, I'd like to make it available for people as a download to the general public. And it's just to listen to Frank Layden talk, he could, all of the cliches about, he could read the phone book, he could sell ice to an Eskimo, all these types of things. You just, I think you get wrapped up in who the Wheelin Jazz are and let his voice take you to another world. This audiobook and film, it follows the Wheelin Jazz. They leave on a Friday from Salt Lake. They go down to Los Angeles. They stay at a campground to save money on hotels. They play Saturday and Sunday, and then they drive all the way back to Salt Lake in time for work on Monday morning. And that's what the film is about. And it's the first ever behind the scenes peek at the players on and off the court lives of the Wheelin Jazz. Yeah. One more thing too, for any of your listeners, there's a pickleball clinic on Thursday that I mentioned. I'm going to do either $50 off for This Is a Place listeners, or if you want to do two of them, each of you will get $50 off. And you have to mention Nate and Brandon, and but we'll get that to you ASAP.
Right on. That'd be cool.
And all of it is a donation, so you can write it off. You can all this other stuff. So, hey, thanks, guys.
All right.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to meet you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks again to our two guests today. Yeah, sounds like there's some cool things coming up. And if any of you are on the fence about pickleball, like I continue to be, sounds like some good opportunities to finally get out and play.
Yeah, and I'm interested in possibly testing out my skills shooting a basketball from a wheelchair. I highly doubt I could even come close to competing with those guys, but I'm sure.
I struggle on my feet, man.
I think you and I should have a shootout.
I'm down. Thanks for listening to This Is a Place podcast.
See you Wednesday.